we just stopped by the bank because we're going to Smorgasburg today because I wanted to go to Smorgasburg for my birthday weekend for no reason at all other
birthday
than
queen! Wait, where's your crown?
there. Anyway, what have we done so far? So August 1st I went to dinner with Rachel. We went to Parm. It was really fun. You probably saw the clips of that. It was really good too. If you like cheese, excellent life choice. And then yesterday we went to a fitness class, which you probably saw a clip of as well. But after that, we went to the dentist. But we also went to Best Buy, got a new air conditioner, which is great. And then we spent like 4 or 5 hours playing Marvel Alliance. I think we're almost at the end of it, but I guess we're gonna find out. So yeah, that's what's been happening in August so far. Have I been doing any reading? Teensy bit. I started The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, which is very good so far. And I also started The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young, which is also very good so far. That one I'm reading for Friends with Arcs. Well, I'm reading with Kristen because I want to. Okay, ambitious TBR planning aside, here's to hoping the rest of August is great and this train stops coming. See you in Smorgasburg. Bye!
We just talk and take in the view. Always seas and sky for forever. Let the world pass by.
Okay, so I am not the greatest at being like all up to date on my reading vlogs lately, but I thought I would do a quick one talking about everything that I finished in the last like week or so. So I finished A Darker Shade of Magic right on the very last day of July, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think there's something about the writing that prevents me from giving this like a full 5 stars. I don't know. It just makes me feel a little bit like set apart from everyone, but I really enjoyed the world, the lore, the characters. I think the story is pretty good, and I'm curious to see where the next 2 books are gonna take the rest of the series, so guess we'll find out. I also finished recently The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is the first book in the Diviner series, and I cannot believe I waited so long to read this book. It's a 5-star read for me. The atmosphere, the setting, the characters, the writing, the story, everything was so compelling. It's basically a murder mystery where the crew are trying to track down a serial killer who looks like he's involved with some sort of cult, and it's so good. I actually listened to most of this on audio, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. It's narrated by January Lavoie, who is also one of the narrators in Daisy Jones and the Six. Love this book. I'm very much dying to continue with the rest of the series. I also finished reading The Well of Ascension, which is the 2nd book in the Mistborn trilogy, and I read it because Kristen was like, we should read this book together again, because we read the first one. And oh my goodness, that one was so good. It was even better than the first book, and I find it funny that I'm saying that because there's a lot of like political maneuvering and war, and normally that's not what appeals to me in a fantasy story, but for some reason it really worked with Mistborn, and I am very curious to see where it's gonna go next. I also finished reading Faker by Sarah Smith. This is a debut contemporary romance novel about a girl named Emmy who sort of has to fake being a boss babe at work because she works in a primarily male-dominated workplace. And then she and her coworker Tate, they sort of have this hate-enemies relationship because they just don't get along, and then it turns out that they might just get along once they are able to uncover the truth about each other, and it was fine. It sort of felt like, I was reading this one with Mel from Elle to the Annie, and the way I described it to her was like, it sort of felt like we didn't get all of that build-up leading to the moment where they realize they actually like each other. Instead, it feels sort of like we're like living out their HEA, I guess, in a way, and I wasn't particularly fond of like how it ended, so who knows. I also finished reading The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. This book is a companion novel. It's set like years after the events of The Sky and the Deep, and it features one of the secondary characters in that book as one of the main characters. So it's about Tova. She was basically given to the sea as a child because she died, but it turns out she was alive. her path was redirected, whatever. So a lot of the plot of The Girl the Sea Gave Back reminds me of The Sky in the Deep. It's because it's two different clans, they have two different opinions about what should happen, and then there's a possibility of war breaking out, there's violence, and then there's just these two opposing sides. And a lot of those details are the same. What makes it slightly different are the two main characters, because Tova she's a truth tongue, and so she has the gift of seeing the future as it falls in the runes, and she has no idea what her past is like, because her people, she's been separated from them for most of her life. And then there's Halvard, who is being trained to become the next chief of the Nadir, and he has a particular way of looking at what their future should be like. And so yeah, it's good. It read really quick. I enjoyed it a lot still. I still didn't love it as much as The Sky in the Deep, but I definitely think it was a good read. And then I most recently finished There Will Come a Darkness, which is by Katie Rose Poole. This is a debut fantasy novel, and the way I had talked about this one before is that there are 5 characters. Their lives are each intertwined with this very last prophecy that could either mean the end of the world or saving the world. And to be fair, it wasn't exactly what I expected, and in many ways a lot of the tropes and the character personality types are things that you've seen in other YA books, but it was still fun to read. It's a 496-ish page novel, and I like flew through it in a day and a half, so that says something about the way it was written, and I enjoyed it. Genuinely, I don't think that it's like an all-time new favorite for me, but I definitely am curious to see where it's going to go next. So those are all my reading updates for now. The next book that I'm going to be starting is The Last Wish, which is by Andrzej Sapkowski. I don't know how to say his name. I have to research that, but it is the first short story collection in the Witcher series, and I'm so excited to get to it. All right, there. Bye.
You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I see it on your face when you say that he's the one that you want. And you're spending all your time in this wrong situation. Anytime you want it to stop, I know I can take you back. That he can, who really got you deserves us. Tell me why I've been wasting time. I know you're wasting time, but you should be instead. I know I can take you. Way too far.